single one of our stories are so powerful, and it's really all we have. I remember when I was a new coach and just thinking like, oh my gosh, what is this story I have to tell? Like, my life is so boring. I do the exact same thing every single day. What in the world do they want me to share? No one's going to find me interesting. But as time goes on, you just be yourself and you just start to tell your story, and you realize that no, my voice is powerful. There's people who not only want to hear from me, but need to hear from me, who have so many different connections with me that you wouldn't know unless you started to share about yourself. So number one, do not be afraid to share your story. No matter how boring you think your life is, I promise you, there is someone who is looking at you in so much admiration. So just keep doing what you're doing, you guys. So let me tell you about my story with Beachbody, how I got started. So literally 2016, if I go back to that time in my life, I had graduated from college. So number one, I am a clinical pharmacist. I work at a hospital in an Indian reservation in Arizona. And I am also a part of the United States Commission Corps, which is a uniform service. We are in military. There's 7 uniform services. 5 are armed and the other 2 are not. I'm one of the ones that's not armed. But our mission is to promote and protect the health and safety of our nation. So I am uniformed at work every single day. And 2016 was the year that I actually got inducted into the Commission Corps. So if I go back to that time, 2016, I had been a pharmacist working at Walgreens for about 6 months, okay? And I was like, this is not for me. I feel like I'm a glorified McDonald's. People are coming through this drive-through thinking they're gonna get their hot and ready pills. Like, I don't have to sit here and make sure that you're not gonna die from what I'm giving you. So I was over that. I was going from store to store. I was a floater, so I didn't even have a steady place I was going. The customers were just like, you guys, customers can be so evil. Anyone who's worked in retail, it's the same exact thing in the pharmacy, and it just wasn't the scene for me. So I decided I needed to change positions, and I was like, okay, well, let me try this Commission Corps thing out. I was in the process of applying for it, and I got a job with Indian Health Service, which is where the reservations are, and they're in different parts of Arizona, but I chose one that someone else at my college already worked at because I knew I could trust someone I knew, like, okay, it's not that bad. Guys, I was an hour and a half from the nearest Walmart, 3.5 hours from the nearest airport. I was in the middle of the desert, in the middle of nowhere. Like, this was serious. And my then boyfriend had gone before me, so I also had him there. So I knew I was gonna at least have someone I knew. And during this time, about 2 years before that, my coach had become a coach. And it's a funny story because in college, before I went to college, my dad had gotten P90X. And I never saw my dad do a P90X workout in my life. Like, I promise you to this day, I've never seen it, but he had the DVDs. And I was like, man, I'm going to college. Like, I need to do something to keep my stomach looking good, because back then girls were all about belly shirts and your tummy had to be flat. So I was like, Dad, let me take this ab DVD. He was like, no, I'm going to use it. I was like, no, you're not. You literally never touched this. So what I did was I got my computer and I put it in front of our projector screen and I recorded the ab ripper. So I was copywriting everything, but I had ab ripper X at least, and like consistently I would do that at least once a week throughout my entire freshman year. So that was my first introduction to Beachbody through my dad. But when I was about 2 years before I signed up as a coach, my coach had signed up as a coach, and we were in pharmacy school. And I was like, I don't know what she's doing. All I can think about, all I can do is study. All I have time to do is study. I don't know how she's making money just like showing her sweaty selfies on Facebook, because that's all I saw her doing. But then she started talking about how she was getting her nails done. And when you're a college student, like, getting your nails done is a lot of money. Like, getting a manicure, pedicure, like, it was a hit. And so I'm like, what? She's able to pay for her manicure, pedicure. So I had that in my mind, but I still wasn't asking questions about it. And at the same time that she signed up, I had unknowingly joined another MLM. I was with Unique, and I didn't even know that I was a part of MLM. I just knew that I loved their mascara because it made my lashes look longer, and I hadn't started doing strip lashes yet. So I was doing that. So she never even asked me to become a coach. So I didn't even get asked into this business. So anyone who you think might not be interested, some people just have no idea what they're doing, like me, and they may actually be interested. So anyway, she was doing that for a couple of years. And at that time, when I changed jobs, I had been putting off asking her about it and putting off getting started because I just felt like my life was too busy. And so during that time when I was literally moving from Virginia to Arizona on that commute, I was like, I texted her, I was like, Virginia, I want to become a coach, like, sign me up, what do I need to do? So I was like that dream coach who you hope pops in your phone and is like, hey, I want to coach. I literally signed up like the next day, and that started my journey. I got serious and I was like, well, if I am going to make money with this, number one, I have to see if I even like this stuff, if I like any of the products. I was not a product person. I had tried a protein powder. I had tried pre-workout. Both of them were disgusting. So I was like, okay, I'll try this Shakeology stuff that comes with my package. Me and my husband, he was then my boyfriend, he was my first coach. Like, Virginia told me, sign up 2 people. So I did. I just was like someone who listened. So I became Emerald like super fast. And it was my husband and my mom. So, but he was my boyfriend at the time, and he agreed to do a program with me. So we did 22-minute hardcore, you guys. I had the DVDs. It was an 8-week program. Every day after work, we came to my apartment and we pressed play on 22-minute hardcore. My mom was back home in Virginia. She was pressing play on 21 Day Fix. And I, throughout that 6 months of being a pharmacist, completely let my health go. I was like 20 pounds more than I was when I graduated. I was so fatigued all the time. But I was like, hey, if you're going to be in the middle of the desert with nothing else to do, you might as well try to create another stream of income, or like, and try to get in shape. Like, you should get in the best shape of your life while you're here. There's nothing else to do. So I went ahead and I did that. And to describe me when I first got started, I would say I was like a hobby coach. Like, I had one foot in because I knew there was the possibility of making money, but I was nowhere near like consistent with anything. I hadn't started doing the daily activities that I needed to do. I was like, heck no to personal development. There was no way you were getting me to read something that wasn't fiction, that wasn't like Harry Potter or Twilight or romance, Pride and Prejudice. Like, I like stuff like that where I can go into another world. So you weren't getting me to do personal development. So I was probably a hobby coach throughout that time, helping friends here and there when I could. But what I was very consistent with showing up on social media, because all I knew from my coach was that you had to show up on social media. I didn't know anything about the business. I never watched a business presentation. I dove in head first and just started hearing national wake-up calls. So that was my first introduction to anything. And Scotty Hobbs on YouTube, he was like my guy. So I knew what it took to be successful, but I wasn't ready to put in the work yet. So about 9 months into me just being on my own journey, falling in love with my own journey, loving the process, figuring out my own like routine and getting consistent, that about 9 months in, I finally got inducted into the Commission Corps. So graduation day, I had gone to officer basic training, which is like this intense thing for 2 weeks, and you're just with all these people and you're doing PT and all that stuff. So I graduated and I'm in DC. So I graduate from that in DC. And the next day, the next morning, I had a dentist appointment. And my little sister, she was going to Southern Virginia. She was hopping in her car and taking a mini road trip because for her last semester of college, she was finally moving off campus and she was going to have a puppy for the first time. So she was going to drive down and get her puppy. I had a dentist appointment, so I couldn't go with her. And at my dentist appointment, I had cavities, y'all. I was there for like 3 hours. But while I was there, my mom started calling me. She's like, have you heard from Candace? Have you heard from Candace? And I'm like, no, I haven't heard from her. So while the lady was like doing something, I like tried to call my sister, no answer, no response. And I just have a bad feeling. And so I leave the dentist office, I come home, time is just passing by. My sister was supposed to be stopping in Richmond on her way from Northern Virginia to Southern Virginia to pick up the puppy. But she hadn't picked up my brother yet. And my brother was only a 2.5 drive away. And the lady who she was getting the puppy from, she's like, she hasn't shown up yet. So my family's getting worried. We have no idea what's going on. And she's not answering the phone, which isn't like her. So we are just calling different like hospitals along the route to get to that lady's house where the puppy was. And we just weren't getting any information. I'm gonna try not to break up. The doorbell rings and there's 2 police officers on my doorstep. I answered the door and all I could say was no, like, no, not my sister, not my sister. A big semi truck had crossed the highway median. She was in the middle lane and he came and hit her head on. And my sister passed away that day. She was 22, full of life. I didn't realize it at the time, but so much of my laughter, my joy came from her. And it was the most dark, depressed, like I felt the most despair I had ever felt in my life. And the rest of that was a blur. So this is right after I had graduated from and got inducted into this national uniform services. And the very next day I lose my sister. And coaching was like the last thing on my mind, you guys. Like I had barely even coached up to that point. I was mostly just on my own journey. But when I got to that point, I didn't see a reason to live. I didn't see what was the point. Like, what am I here for? Why am I still here? Why is she not here? Like, she was a freaking genius. Like she was about to graduate with a chemical engineer degree. Like she was doing Beachbody programs too. I had gotten her to start 21 Day Fix. And she was just the most incredible, amazing person and my best friend. And after that happened, I was just like, do I even want to coach? Like, what is this? What am I doing? And I thought about it and I was like, you know what? Candace loved what I was doing. She was so inspired by what I was doing, and she wouldn't have wanted me to quit. So I decided to start to take action to pull myself out of the situation that I felt like I was in, which was so dark and deep that I couldn't see any light. And I didn't have a personal relationship with God at the time. And I was like, you have to start there. So I started waking up a little bit earlier so that I could pray, so that I could read a little devotional. Like that's all I knew to do at the time. I just knew I had to sit in my thoughts and like try to meditate. Like I had started trying to meditate. And the only other thing that I knew that would make me feel good was what had been making me feel good for the past 7 to 8 months, which was pressing play on a workout program. So I made the decision about a month after she passed away to start T25. And I did T25 all the way through. I wasn't an alpha and beta and done. I was an alpha, beta, gamma. And that same year, they had come out with Sean Week. So right after I finished gamma was like Sean Week, which was crazy how all the synchronicity happened. But I dove into T25, you guys, and that became honestly part of my therapy because Sean T was so positive. He was pushing me every day. And before I knew it, I was smiling again. I was finding joy in little things in life, and my relationship with God was growing, and I just felt better. Like I felt like there was some hope. And so that whole year after she passed away, it was just me healing. It was finding my steps. It was using the programs for what they're meant to do for people, and that's heal and help them and just help them establish a routine that's going to be sustainable for the rest of their lives. So I was finding the joy in my journey. And the next year, so this is December that this happened. That summer was my first summit. I went to my first summit and I was it was New Orleans, and I was in awe. Like I felt something. I don't know what it was, but it was magic. The moment that I knew that this was the place for me, I was at the Success Club party and there were fireworks and they were playing Chainsmokers, something just like this. And to this day, that song means so much to me because it was in that moment that I just knew this energy, this space, these people, this is a place where I can call home. And so I decided that that year was still a lot of healing for me. But after that, I knew, I was like, okay, you got to actually put some effort into this. So I started doing personal development, and that, you guys, like, that just changed my life. Like, personal development is everything. There's no way you can do this without it. There's no way you can grow without it. And that's where I really, really kicked off in the business. So the next year at Summit, the title was Believe in You. And something that I was missing as a new coach was belief in myself. I probably had like 12 to 14 coaches, all discount coaches. I could have been a diamond ages before, but I just didn't have the belief that I could help someone else succeed in this business. And then I heard someone say that being a leader is just helping someone else do what you've already done. So up until that point, I had become an emerald. I had gotten a whole bunch of discount coaches. I'm like, I could help someone else go emerald. Like, it's not that hard. Like, I literally did it within like 48 hours of signing up. I was like, I could help someone else do that. So when I started to think of it like that, it became less daunting and less of like this huge thing that I had to do. And it was going to take up so much time. I just started helping people get to emerald, and like the people who actually wanted to learn about the business, I started to talk about the business on my social media. Before that, it was just about health and fitness, but then I started to infuse coaching in my team calls and wake up calls and just talking about what I loved about it and how things were changing my life. And that year I became a diamond coach. I had a couple working coaches, which is really all you need, is just a couple, like just find 2 to 3 people who will rock with you with the business. And that's all you need. So I was like, okay, cool, I can do this. So I became a diamond coach. And this past year, I became a 1-star diamond in April. I was in 1-star qual. And then the deadline was coming up for the end of the quarter, being a 2-star, so that you could actually get a bonus. You guys, Beachbody bonuses are no joke. And I was like, if I am ever going to find a way to make this work, then I have to be a star diamond. So I was like, okay, you have a month before this deadline to try to start to make these bonuses. And I was like, okay, I have my one girl who became a diamond coach. Now it was on me because I had my husband's account, and diamond is a decision at the end of the day, right? So I was like, okay, I'm gonna make him a diamond. And it's crazy because all the work that I had put in the year before, people just seemed to start just falling through the cracks. The follow-ups I was doing, almost every person was just like, yeah, I'm ready. And before you knew it, I had my husband a diamond, and I was like, oh my gosh, but there's no way that would have happened if I hadn't have started tracking my business the year before, getting up early, all the things. So literally in the middle of 1-star qualification, I started 2-star qual. So I just officially solidified 1-star qualification a couple weeks ago, and I have one more week of 2-star qual to be official 2-star. So I kind of did it back to back, because once one of my coaches was close to diamond, I was like, okay, make your husband diamond. There's no reason for you to wait around for this anymore when there's money sitting on the table. So back to my story a little bit more, you guys. After I attended my second summit this was in, where were we? We were in Minneapolis, right? I think we were in Minneapolis, or Indianapolis, Indy. Yeah, we were in Indy. And after that, let me give you a little bit of backstory about my job. My job, like I said, I was on a reservation. You guys, reservation hospitals are not state of the art. This is like going to an inner city school. Like the school books just aren't good. They're like old, and like there's nothing new. And in caring for this Native American population, number one, I loved being immersed in the culture, but I saw so many gaps in healthcare when it came to their care. And for me as a pharmacist, what I wanted to do was to be fulfilled by what I was doing. And what I found was, as these people were sitting across from me and I was counseling them on their medication, I realized that I wasn't fixing anything. I wasn't reversing any of their chronic conditions. All I was doing for them was giving them a temporary fix that's going to manage their condition. I wasn't reversing anything. There wasn't people there to help them in the kitchen. They were eating junk it's so bad that the kids who are Native Americans, they say when I get diabetes. It's not even an if I get diabetes. It's so seeped in their culture that every single person gets it. People lose limbs, people lose their sight. Like, it's very bad. And I just felt like I wasn't doing enough. I didn't feel like I was reaching them. But then on the other token, I was being a hobby coach, so I was working a little bit, and I was starting to get feedback from people saying, oh my gosh, you've changed my life. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for inviting me to do this. Or, oh my goodness, I lost 15 pounds. This is crazy. Or, oh, I love Shakeology. Like, this is doing so good for my digestive system. So I was getting all this feedback on the coaching world in my off time. But then at work, it was like the opposite. I wasn't getting that fulfillment. And on top of that, boss, so crazy, like horribleboss.com his face would be up there. Super toxic work environment. Like, it got so bad to the point where my dad was like, if you had to be out of that place tomorrow, what would you do? I told him I would find a different Indian health service, because it's easy to get into these places, you guys, like, because people don't want to be out in the middle of nowhere. So a lot of times the people who are working in those environments are people who didn't fit into private industry in some way, or they're not really that great at their jobs. And so I was like, I would find another one and I would leave. So he was like, well, you need to do that now because you're miserable there and your boss is crazy. And so I was like, okay. So I found another place to work at. That's where I'm currently working now. But you guys, over time, the same things come up. And I realized that this isn't for me. This isn't giving me the sense of fulfillment that I want. And I want to tell you that when you become a coach, what's going to make you successful is either you're going to have a pain point that's so strong that it forces you to work, it forces you to get up early or do whatever you need to do to make it work, or you're going to be so incredibly inspired by the stories that you hear of other coaches and what's possible in this business. It's either a pain point or it's extreme inspiration that's going to make you drive you to do this business. And for me, obviously, there was a huge pain point when it came to being unfulfilled in my job, but also I had a lot of inspiration. I really, really, truly have so much admiration for some of the top people who paved the way for us. And I feel for their stories and I understand them and stuff like that. So you guys, when I was in that situation, I was like, man, I have to get out of here and I have to get out of here fast. There's no way I would start a family with the work schedule that I have. It just doesn't align with anything that I want to do with my life. And so I started cracking the whip last year, 4 a.m. 4 a.m. Why 4 a.m.? Because all of my coaches are East Coast, which means if I was going to do a power hour with them in the morning, they did theirs at 7. That meant 4 o'clock for me because I'm 3 hours behind. So 4 a.m. became the drum roll of my life every weekday. And even on my off days, like not the weekends, but on the weekdays, even if I'm off, I'm still up at 4 a.m. and I connect with them. And it becomes kind of like our team call. We don't have conventional team calls each week at the same time because all of us are working and we can't really get together at the exact same time. But we do have a big team call with my coach's team. And the mornings became our time to like get stuff together. We plan stuff, we have our power hour, and we just connect. And we've been doing that for about over a year now, like going on a year and a half now. And I think that that also hugely contributed to me building my business, helping my coaches get success in the business and pushing them for higher levels, because at the end of the day, it's really only intimidating as you want it to be. A lot of the stuff that you're thinking is in your head. A lot of times we think about how the trade-offs and like how crazy hard it's going to be. But in reality, it's just a friend, helping a friend reach a couple milestones, encouraging them. We are cheerleaders at the end of the day, just like coaching is you're someone's biggest cheerleader. It's the same thing for your teammates, and it's the same thing for people who actually want to put in the work. You're just there to motivate them and be like, girl, you can do this. Oh, you're so close. Like, oh, like, is it about to happen? Because you're looking like you're stacking people up there. Like, are we gonna do this? Like, you're just locking arms with people who become your besties. So for me at 2-Star, when it happened, it was very much so a product of the work that I had put in the year before. So if I can leave you guys with anything, it's honestly to trust the process. It is a journey, but just like your health and fitness journey and how you have become super consistent with it and how it's now second nature for you to get up and press play whenever you do, that's how it has to be for your business. Now that you've built that consistency with your own health and fitness, it's time to do that with your business. And it's time to take it seriously. And it's time to dream. It's time to create a vision for your life, because mine is so freaking sexy that there's no way I can press snooze and not show up. Not only do I have people now who are like, 4 a.m., where's Alex? Like, you have to create that environment where your back is up against the wall, where you can't press snooze. If there's nobody there, then yeah, you can press snooze and no one's gonna know you didn't show up. But you have to create an environment for yourself where you have to show up, where you are the person that people are depending on, and where your vision of your life is so freaking sexy that you can't turn your back on it. Like, if there's a chance that you can make that dream come true, you have to give it your all. So for me, my plan is by the end of the year, I'm leaving the Corps. It'll be 4 years. I'll officially be a veteran, which is crazy. I feel like veterans are like old people, but I'll be a veteran in December. And I'm like, okay, done with that. And I'll probably do pharmacy part-time. Like, my dream is to do it on my terms. Like, if I want to do pharmacy once a week, I want to be able to do that. If I want to hop in someone's pharmacy once a month, I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to live life on my terms. I don't know what the future is going to bring with my kids, but I want to be able to be there for them. And honestly, I feel like I'm going to be that mom in a bomb house in her office with a nanny watching the kids. And I'm still present. I'm still a stay-at-home mom, but I'm also a business owner, crushing it, making my own work schedule. I have an inside gym in my house. Like, you guys don't understand. I have this stuff. I see it. It's planned. And that's something that motivates me to get out of the bed each and every single day and make it happen. And I just know from experience of people's lives getting changed that this is good work. I believe in Carl's mission and his vision of us reaching the world. And I'm like, ooh, we're in the beginning. Like, this is a great place to be. It's only going to get bigger and bigger. We're only going to get more and more customers under us. And I'm like, man, this is only the beginning. So find a vision that motivates you and inspires you. And if you're dealing with pain, you have to find a way to experience joy each and every single day. And for me, part of that is pressing play. I have a dance party every single day before I work out. And I also, the year after my sister died, I have another little sister who's like 13 months younger than me. And one day she was like, you should put on sparkles. And I was like, really? You think so? She was like, yeah. Like, do you have any glitter? And I was like, yeah, I do. So from that day forward, this was like 2017, you guys. From that day forward, every single day before my workout, I like put glitter all over my skin. And it just reminds me to experience and feel the joy of who I am. It reminds me that you're a freaking star. Even when you don't feel like it, you are a rock star. And I have a physical manifestation of that every day through my dance party and through my sparkles on my skin that make me feel good. So you just have to find a way to feel good each and every single day, whatever way you can, and it's going to propel you forward in this business, because people on the other side of your phone, they're going to feel that and they're going to want some of that, and they're going to be like, how is she this happy every day? Like, oh my God, she's a freaking weirdo. Like, what in the world kind of unicorn juice is she drinking? Like, I call it my GM juice because I literally start dancing after I drink it. It is what it is, but you just have to own it. And when you own it, the right people are going to come to you and find you, and they are going to be your besties. All right, guys, let me know what questions you have. I hope that was inspirational and helped you find your voice as well in your businesses.
I love that so much. Oh my gosh. I have so many notes. Like, find your joy every single day, create an environment for yourself that doesn't allow you to not show up. That like speaks to my heart, because most of my girls know my story, but I was a barista for a long time while working coaching full time and yoga teaching. And I hit diamond, and then I quit baristaing, whatever that word is. But I put my back up against a wall intentionally, like with my finances. Like I wasn't there to retire, obviously, but I did that, like you said, because I needed to create an environment where I just didn't have an option or an excuse.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that is so, so, so true. Like every single person has a different situation, but whatever you guys like listening is popping up in your head, like, oh, I need to do this, or I need to do this to create that environment. Just do it so that you are motivated, right? Like every freaking day. And I was wondering about your glitters, your
Yeah.
sparkles, because I was like, what is on her skin? She looks so good. And then totally makes sense. Where
Yeah.
do you get that stuff?
I
I
literally
need it.
make it. Like after a couple years of doing it, I even brought it to Summit last year so that people who wanted it could just get some. And I started making it. I have a little Etsy shop and everything because I was like, I
Oh
mean,
my gosh.
if I love this, and I'm not even someone who would call themselves like super like, I don't know, girly and stuff like that, but there's something about
Mhm.
glitter. Like when you see your skin and you're moving and you're dancing and your skin is just glowing, it's just like, oh yes, like it feels so good. So I
Yeah, at first I thought it was like you were like sweaty after your workout, like your abs were like sparkling, and I'm like, well, how is she so like glistening? But
yes, and it makes your
totally
obliques
makes sense.
pop out. Like I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Okay.
when it comes to like a specific spot you want to be financially, I know for me, I knew I wanted to get out of pharmacy. So I was like, dang, what is it going to take? How can I replace this income? And I asked my coach, I was like, at what point were you know, making this income and what do I need to do? And she was like, honestly, like I was probably about 5 star. And I was like, okay, so this year 5 star is the goal. So I started this year out as a diamond. I'm 2 star right now. I'm like, I'll be 5 star by the end of the year for sure, because you can make yourself a 3 star easily. All you need is one person to be diamond, get your spouse, and then you be your second business center. So regardless, in this business, you're going to have to figure out how to do the things, how to build the skills, how to talk to people. So rather than pushing it off, you have to dive into it, because at the end of the day, it's like you have to do this how many more times? Like you're going to do it for your husband, you're going to have to do it for your second CBC. So the sooner you can figure this out, the better and easier your life is going to get. And it's a decision at the end of the day.
Yeah, so true. I remember like when my coach started explaining to me, like, you know, you just build a diamond and then you hit diamond again and diamond again. It's this cycle. I was like, are you serious? Like that scared the crap out of me, because I was like, I can't hit diamond. But then it's like once you just lean into that fear and you like go and do it anyway and take action, you literally just like learn to be courageous in the midst of it all, like whatever's holding you back, and you just do it and you're like, whoa, like I just did that. I think I can do that again, right? So you
Yeah.
just like gain that confidence as you go. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. There's a few questions I'm seeing in the chat. Let's see. What's your biggest tip for someone pushing for diamond?
Okay, so diamond, honestly, like I said, you guys, it is a straight up decision, but it takes grit. It takes the decision and then saying, okay, now I'm going to, no matter what, invite 30 people a day, let's say, like every day. Like not, oh, I'm only gonna do this twice a week. Like, no, every day, and then doing the follow-ups. Because at the end of the day, the people are barely ready the first time you talk to them. I saw this really cool graphic and it was talking about the way that people fall through the cracks. And it was literally like between the 10th and like 15th time that you get 80% of the people to fall through the cracks. So really starting a system of tracking your people. For me, I use the Moira, tracker, the Rise Up. It was sitting on this, sorry. So I use this tracker and it's by Moira Kusaba. Some of you guys might have it. But what I do is I send out invites, right? But I don't care about any of the answers. The only people who I care about tracking are the ones who say, yeah, I'd like some info, or yeah, I'm interested. Those people are gold to me. They go into my tracker and they are with me. I have the same ones from last year. I'm going back through 2019 now, because I have a whole different book for that year. And those are the people that are eventually going to fall through the cracks because they were interested and they just had some kind of objection. So I just keep checking in with people. I'm staying authentic. I'm staying, I'm just showing them that I care about them and their health. And at the end of the day, people know what they need, and it might not be the right time for them, but eventually I'm going to catch them, because when I talk to people and they're not ready, I'm like, okay, when would be a better time for me to follow up with you? I don't like to just follow up randomly. I like to ask you, when's a better time for you? So when people tell me, oh, in a few months, oh, this summer, oh, this fall, I'm there, and I'm going to be that rock for them, and they're going to know that I'm here for them when they're ready. So when it comes to the people who fell through the cracks for me at this time during 1-star and 2-star qual, these were people that I've been talking to for the past like 2-3 years, to be honest, and they've been following me all this time, and they see me show up, and I'm that rock. I have to be the person who continues to show up, who they can count on. So you just have to dig deep in yourself and fall in love with your own journey enough to show up for you, because people are watching. And make sure that you're tracking those people who do say they might be interested, because they're going to be the people who fall through. But honestly, your diamond is people you already know. My diamond was no one who was new. These are people who I knew in my life, who I just needed to get up the courage, follow up with, talk to. They were family members, they were friends, and it's really people you already know. So you just have to really dig deep and start to do the work.
Yes, that is so true. Like my diamond was also like just all my clients turned into discount coaches. And then I maybe had like one business builder who wasn't even like really a business builder at the time, but I like thought she was because I didn't really understand. That is so good. So when you first started tracking your business, I know you said that was like a key thing that brought you like success. Did you always use like pen and paper? Like I know you still use that, and that's incredible because it's so hard for me to keep track of stuff like on pen and paper.
So when I first started, I was not really working the business. I was a hobby coach. I wasn't doing anything big. Like I had a Team Z, I was paying for Team Z and I wasn't even using it correctly. So I stopped that. Everyone was talking about Google Streak. And so I started to try that. I'm just diving back more into it now. But to be honest, like those online systems just weren't my thing. And it wasn't something that I was able to consistently do. So when I decided to actually dive into this business 2 years ago, and I was like, I'm going to make this happen, that was when I was like, okay, I have to start writing down names. So originally, when I really started tracking 2 years ago, I had a notebook and it was the success tracker because we had just started the tracking system, and I had copied that 52 times and I put 2 blank pages in between each one at Staples. It cost me like $7 to create that notebook. And I started writing down every single I did. And that's a lot of work. After probably about a year, so I switched over to this one. Even if I wasn't using this, I would still just have a notebook, and the people who said yes, that's who I would write down, because it's a lot to write down every single person who you invite, especially if you're inviting a high number of people each day. So I just started tracking the people who said yes, and they became my follow-ups. Every single month I had a whole list of people to follow up with, and then I also had people to invite from my posts, from my Instagram stories. It really just is just every day showing up and doing something to move your business forward and trying to be a little better each day, because you do get better. Like each year, if you guys have been in this for at least a year, you see how crazy different of a person you are, how more organized you are each and every single year that passes. You get better.
I love that you like stick with that tracking system because it works for you. I know so many coaches that like try to do certain tracking systems because that's what this top coach is doing, and it's like so important to like, you know, be coachable and absorb those things and learn from our leaders, but also like know that what works for you is probably going to be a little bit different than what works for somebody else, or, you know, just be open to learning and like really flexible to what works for you, and like owning that, being confident about that. So I would love to hear what your invite process is like. Like, do you invite people from your Instagram? Do you like mostly keep it on email, or like, do you just use like, you know, your notebook and then invite those follow-ups?
Yeah, so I'm just now starting to dive into email marketing. I haven't been someone who's done that previously, but now that my business is growing, I recognize that if I'm going to, when I switch over at the end of the year, it'll be good to have that system there. But honestly, I have been a person who did two things. So the first year when the first like 2 years ago when I was really like, I have to make this work, I literally went to Instagram, I put everyone in order from A to Z, and I started working that list, like straight up A to Z, like on Instagram. And then I fell off from that. I don't know why. I think I just kept coming up with people who weren't even my people. I don't know who those people are who follow me, because they're not really my people, because I wasn't doing the right stuff in the beginning. But now I mostly invite from my posts. And I post enough that I'm never even caught up on posts. So you would think, oh, I posted today, I'm going to invite from that post today. No, I'm like way back, like a week and a half, 2 weeks back, inviting from one of those posts, and depending on what the post is talking about. So I kind of got more strategic about what I'm saying in my post, knowing the people who are liking this post might be interested in this, right? So if I'm talking about nutrition in a post, those people who I talk to, I'm going to be talking about nutrition. And I'm going to be talking about ultimate portion fix, or like, do you want some information? Like, because in my post, I might have talked about that. If it's a post about coaching, that post, I'm inviting them to a webinar that I'm doing soon, or I'm saying, hey, would you be interested in checking out details about coaching? Because it's really important that what you're posting, you're able to then reach out to people from the post. A lot of times at the end, you know, what I tell people to do is it's specifically so that I can hop in their inbox. So how can I describe it? So let's say, I think a couple posts ago, or last post I did, I think it was a couple posts ago, I was telling my story. And in there, one sentence in there was like, oh, like, I was just working with my girls on this webinar we're doing on Monday about this. But the rest of the post was a story about something completely different. But because I put that one sentence in there, I was able to message every single one of those people and be like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for the love on my post. Are you interested in checking out the whatever? Like, and it's not weird because I literally talked about it in my post. So when it comes to like reaching out to people and stuff like that, I am pretty strategic when I do post, knowing specifically what I'm going to invite the people who like this post to, even if it's for something free.
That is so smart. I love that. I usually do that like when I run out of people to invite from my stories. But lately I've noticed like I just find more unique people or like different people that I haven't really seen or talked to from posts. And so I usually transition my invites like midway through the month to more like coaching focus rather than the boot camp. And I like love that. I need to dive into that even more so.
Now, I'm
Okay,
not
I saw.
perfect by any means, you guys. Like, honestly, the whole postings, like, I work full time. I am so busy. My work days are like 12 hours by the time I leave my house and get back to my house. So what I'm working on right now even is every Sunday trying to at least come up with like what I'm going to even talk about the next week. That's like been my thing that I've been working on for like 3 months, and I'm still not good at it, but I'm trying. So it's just a learning process, and it's finding what works for you. And I do have a business page, so I've started paying attention to the impressions and like how many people saw this post and what time was the best to work to post it and stuff like that. So just keep learning and growing. I learned so much from Melanie Mitro. Like, she's a business machine. Like, just there's so many coaches in our network who have all the answers that it's just a matter of you wanting to find out what the answers are.
That's so good. I need to like quote that. Okay, Kelsey had a question. What do your follow-ups each month usually look like? Because I know no one wants to annoy the crap out of people each month.
Oh my goodness, my follow-ups, I have like my notes section is insane. Like on my iPhone, My notes section is crazy, and I literally every month just create a follow-up, and that's what I use to follow up with every single person. What I have also found is people respond better to video. So a lot of times I will do a video follow-up, literally one video, and I'm saying girl, but I say girl all the time anyway. So I'll say a follow-up instead of typing a follow-up, and I'll send that same video to all of my follow-ups, because then they're more likely to actually respond, because it's almost like I sent them a personal video message. Or even talking, but talking, you have to talk to every single person. So I liked the idea of making a video, and then that's easy, right? You're done with your follow-ups in like 2 days if you do it that way. Let me see one that I did recently that I can tell you guys and just say out loud. Okay, so like the $20 off one, right? So here goes one. I said, good morning. Okay, so I know we've spoken before about you wanting to be a part of this community and do a program with me, but you weren't quite ready. I just got word that there's going to be $20 off all of the wellness kits. I call them wellness kits instead of challenge packs, for a limited time starting today. That's the biggest discount all year on the exact tools that have helped me on my journey to health and wellness. I'm filling up the last 5 spots for my virtual fit club this weekend, and I want you in there, girl. Are you ready? And that's just like a message that I would send. But what's more effective is a video. Like, just really try to connect with your audience, and people should see your face, and people feel like they know me. They feel like they know me because I'm in the video and I'm talking to them, and I'm also on Instagram stories and I'm talking to them. So it becomes a more like, oh my gosh, girl, like I know I've been procrastinating, like give me 2 more weeks, or how long is that sale going on? Like I get those types of responses instead of ghosts.
That is so smart. I don't know why I've never thought of that. I've done videos, but it's always like random. That's so smart to make one in advance.
And team up with each other, because I know the girls, like even one of my success partners, she's not on my team, but she's still under Bombshell Dynasty under Lindsay Matway in some way, shape, or form. And we've been teaming up and doing like the coach webinar type situations. Sometimes it's just a lot to try to do by yourself. So I would definitely say team up with people who are on your team page, or just talk to people, reach out to people, because our coaching network is so bomb. Like I haven't met one coach who I'm like, ugh, like not one coach. Everyone is just amazing and so nice, and yeah, willing to give.
Yes, I so agree. I feel like we chatted about that before the call, and I was like, I love everybody in this community. Yeah. Lauren has a question. Do you ever worry that if you invite people that comment on your post, feel like if they comment that you're going to hound them with an invite?
I don't really invite from comments, and the people who I invite from my posts, if you actually read my posts, it'll say something about me reaching out to you, or it'll say like this if you want the information. Like, so even if they wanted to feel some type of way, it's kind of hard to, if you actually go back to the post you liked and read what I said. Like you kind of set yourself up there. But no, the people, honestly, it's all in our heads, because you're just being nice. And I was listening, I don't know if you guys listened to Jim Rohn, but he was one of my inspirations when I first started coaching. He has a book, let me pull it up. I think he has a few like video type of situations, building your network marketing business. Literally, that's what it's called. Building Your Network Marketing Business by Jim Rohn. And he just like stampedes on so much of our own inner dialogue that we have about what people are going to think. And I remember, what did he say? He was like, there's only like 10 really ugly, mean people in the world. And he's like, now they move around a lot, like basically saying like you might run into a few, but there's really only 10 of them in the world. So like whatever you're thinking you're gonna get, it's probably not the way someone's gonna respond. There's been so many times there's a message in my inbox that I don't want to open because the beginning first like 5 words seem like a letdown. And then I open it up and they're like this whole paragraph and they're like, but I'm ready. And it's like I was in my own head already thinking they were about to say no. So it's really all mindset, you guys. And honestly, the books that I think are really great at mindset. There's one I'm reading, I don't even have it with me, but it's called F Leadership, like F-U-C-K, except for the U-C-K is in stars. And it's by Josh Coates. That one's really good about like mindset and building your network marketing business by Jim Rohn. I love GoPro, like GoPro by Eric Worre. That one is amazing because it gives you step by step. If you guys haven't read Build to Last, are you even a Beachbody coach? Read Build to Last by Keith Callahan. Everything is laid out for us, guys. We just have to do the work. We have to show up and we have to be willing to make mistakes, because honestly, that's the only way we're going to learn. It's the only way we're going to get better. There's stuff that I was terrified of doing 2 years ago, and now it's like a piece of pie. Right now, my biggest thing that makes me nervous is doing live webinars. But that seems to be the trend of how things are going. Like, might as well get people on live when you can. Like these recordings, I feel like I send out recordings and it takes me like 5 times following up with you before you actually start to listen to it. So you just roll with it, and whatever seems to be working for people, like you got to give it a try. And if you try something, try it at least for 3 to 6 months. Don't write something off as not working until you really dive into it for a while.
Okay, one last question. I don't want to like take up your whole night, but I could sit here and just like talk for hours. What would you tell somebody who's like super busy, just like you're working a full-time job and it sounds like it takes a lot out of you, and you're hitting 2-star right now, which is just crazy. Like that's amazing. And it just goes to show that like anybody can do this business no matter what their schedule is. So for all the busy people, what would you tell them as like encouragement or tips?
You have to have an end in mind. For me, the only thing that is making me push this hard is knowing that I want to step away from pharmacy at the end of this year and deciding that that's what's happening. When you make a decision like that, it changes the chemistry of what this means to you, and it changes your actions. Instead of your spare time watching Netflix, you're like adding girls from hashtags and like, hey, just stalked your page, you seem like my kind of person, just wanted to say hey. Like you're sending those messages massively to people. Like you have to have an end in mind. And for me, when I want to step away and do this full time, I know it's going to take a lot out of me to make that happen, but it's because I'm doing it in a short amount of time. So, and I feel like it's doable to do something in a short amount of time, and also to celebrate your wins along the way. So I know I started 2-star qual in the middle of 1-star qual, but best believe I'm like celebrating myself. I have taken days off and I've been hanging out with family. But the bigger picture of what I want for my life, I can step into that better when I'm a full-time coach. So for me, that is my goal. It's not everyone's goal. Everyone doesn't want to be a full-time coach, but whatever your goal is, you have to set a deadline for that on when you want to make that happen, because once you make it happen, you're going to feel that relief, right? And I want to feel that release. I want to feel like, okay, I'm doing well. I want to see myself hitting milestones along the way. And each of those milestones, you have to celebrate them. You have to feel like, okay, good, I'm on the right path. Celebrate yourself. Your coach is going to celebrate you. Like Leanna is definitely for sure going to celebrate you. And you just have to feel good about the work that you're doing. So I really would say just have that vision in mind of where you want to go, because I know my work is going to be cut out for me when I become a full-time coach, right? Like it's going to be a lot, but if I can make this happen working a full-time income and be a 5-star, what the heck, there's no limits like when I'm full-time. So just surprise yourself. You guys are perfectly capable. You just have to have that belief.
Yay! So freaking good. Thank you so much for sharing with us. It was amazing. I know everybody on here was just like obsessed. I can see it in like all the faces. So yay! Have a wonderful rest of your night, girl. Hopefully we will connect.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to share my story. This was like the easiest team call when you literally just have to talk about yourself.
Yes. So good. And go hit 2-star. Woohoo!
Yes.
I'm going to buy some glitter. Everybody go to her Etsy shop. Buy some glitter.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. Oh my goodness. Thank you guys so much.
Bye.
Yeah.